Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HSBG podcast. Near the end of December, I'm your host, J.K. Collins. I'm here with Kaza co-host Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
Thank you, Collins. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Had great holidays so far. Having a lot of fun with the game. How have you been?
Yeah. Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys had a great weekend, New Year, and good time. So should be fun. I'm having had a great Christmas as well.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's been I think it's been 3 weeks instead of two, but we'll blame that on the holidays.
Has it
Stuff
been
to
three
do.
weeks?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's two. I
I
lose
don't
track of
believe
time.
you. Nah.
All right, 2 weeks then. There we go.
We're on a rigid 2 weeks.
We're on schedule. We would never be late. All right. Excellent. All right. Well, we have yeah. Go ahead.
We do have some updates to talk about, new patches, things like that. So should be good to go. For Christmas, I told Blizzard to work on the duo mode even faster. So yeah,
But like step on it. Right? Yeah.
they obviously listen to me.
Early January copium.
Yeah, early January. All right.
Yeah, that's not confirmed, by the way, for anyone that's not into Twitch emotes. Yeah, just
right.
Yeah, making sure.
Yeah. We do have some Battleground updates. There have a dev comment as well, which I love reading. Generally, we're overall very pleased with the initial reception of spells. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so from a very high level, absolutely. I don't actually know of a high level player that's like, I hate spells. So there's maybe like, oh, I think tie distribute should be in the game, or like this new tier 2 strategy.
Maybe adjustments, but like the spell itself is
yes,
like really,
like it's not like, oh, yuck buddies hate it, or yuck quests hate it, or anomalies hate it. So far from all the high level players I know, it's been spells, give me more, I fucking love it, right? So that's rare, which is that's normal that's rare, right? That's so homogenous. But
people like to argue and not be a contrarian.
Exactly. Now I have definitely read comments on my YouTube, comments on my Twitch that people say like, anomalies were much crazier. I loved it way more when we had like a golden brand on turn 3 with the audience choice or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a consistency thing where anomalies would just put you in positions that it's just like you can't really win because you're like, oh well, I mean they have that. Okay, cool. It's like turn 2 and you have, like, let's say it's audience choice or an anomaly where you each start with a 6-drop and you have like an Octosari, but you're also fighting a Lich King who has an Octosari, and he's just like reborning his guy and you're not, and then you take like 8 damage on turn 2 and you're like, oh, that was fair. Stuff like that happened more in anomalies where it's just like, well, get wrecked. Right.
Okay, here's my conspiracy theory. Do you think people like spells because they just came from anomalies and they're like, wow, I'm not losing randomly every other game? Like,
the way how I put it is spells give you more options, more agency. And I think that's normal that when, high level players generally are the strongest player in their lobby, just the way how the matchmaking system works. There's just not enough 14K, 13K, 12K players online at a given time to make a lobby of those. So if you are better on average than the people you're playing and you're given more options, you're more likely to come out on top because you can actually use more, you
win more. So high level players like it because they win more. That's what it
agency. Yes, win more through agency, I think, is it. But yeah, everybody loves winning, of course. But it's really the ability. Like sometimes I do really weird stuff with my curve because I'm just like, oh well, it makes sense here because there's this thing. I can do this. I can do that. Like can hold this climb here.
At least it's always less. But let me rephrase. You have more things to do in the early game where before you kind of had to follow some type of general guideline to get to where you want. Here it's like based on the spells. There are more times you don't have to follow that guideline and still kind of end up in roughly the same spot or even a better spot.
Yes, there's just an additional thing per shop is also the easy thing to say. So you're just more likely to have a playable shop. Like one of the main causes of death in my games, right, is like unplayable shit multiple turns in a row, and you're
Turns
like,
in a row,
I
yeah.
guess I'll just die then, right? It's
Yeah.
like shitty shop on 2, so I went to 3. Shitty shop on 3. Don't have economy,
So
can't
you
go to
went to
4.
4?
Well,
No? Oh,
if you had economy, you go to 4, right? But if
yeah.
you didn't have economy, let's say you sold a Risen Rider, right? Because your
Sure.
tier 2 shop was shit. Then you're just like, I guess I'll buy this 1 and this 2 drop because it's better than rolling for a 3. But then, you're already in a position where you've lost a lot of health. You're on tier 3. You're going to continue to lose because you didn't get good minions. And it's just with spells, it's less likely you're forced to do that. You can be like, well, it's not insane, but I guess I'll just give +2/+2 to my guy and just buy this, and then I'll make the most out of it.
Yeah, right.
That's what I think has been going on.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Let's move on from the
Yeah.
first sentence of the dev comment.
Oh yeah, let's. This gonna be a good one.
While the meta is a relatively healthy place, making a wide range of lighter adjustments to tone down some overperformers, notably most spell generators. I do agree with that. I think the generators were really overperforming for sure. No complaints with that statement. And giving extra help to Quillboars, Murlocs, and Undeads. You agree with that? You think those 3 were falling behind compared to every other archetype?
Yeah, I would say mechs got help from them, which isn't in here, and definitely needed some.
Okay.
But the
So Max as well. Okay.
we'll go over it, I guess, when we see it, because I now
Course.
have the benefit of having played the patch quite a bit, so
Right.
yeah, we'll go over it. But yes, there were definitely changes made. I would say out of these 3, mainly Quillbore received love, where
most,
they've you'll see it in the patch. Like they've definitely been like, all right, play Boar, have have some stuff here.
Okay. We'll continue to monitor and make adjustments, so it's good to hear. Let's go straight to the hero updates we have. You can pronounce his name.
Yeah, Tathalon.
Taitalania. You said that earlier to me today, and I still don't.
Bloodwatcher. Yeah, called
Yes.
Bloodwatcher.
So now instead of every third spell you buy costing 1 less, every third spell you buy costing 0. Now every spell you buy costs 1 less. So that's a big nerf, in my opinion, right? Like you were able to get things that costed 3, 4, even 5 gold for free. Now you're not getting that. You're getting an extra. Okay. I just want to say, is this too heavy of a nerf? Do you think maybe like cost 2 less was, but
yeah,
you
so this one is very difficult in the current climate because this is a really, really strong hero right now.
right,
Which is hilarious.
Even with this passive, it's still good.
Yes, but that is entirely due to Chief breaking the game and just having this insane tier 2 strategy. He's just really good at that tier 2 strategy. He could even do it on tier 3 because there's certain tier 3 spells that make it worth it to have this guy. So it's tough to say because, yes, when you look at the text there, you're like, well, this is an absolute, just demolishing of this hero, right? Where you go like, well, it was way too good because you could do like 1 cost spell, 1 cost spell, boom, buy a golden touch for nothing, cast a golden. It was absolutely stupid.
For sure. The old passive was broken beyond belief.
Yeah,
but when I look at this, like from a outside perspective, I'm like, wow, they really gutted this hero. Like, like 2 less sounds like more, viable.
But here's the issue. Here's the issue. If you go for 2 less. Okay, so I'm gonna just assume that this is what happened, right? They looked at, okay, why is Bloodwatcher so broken? Oh, people are staying on tier 2 and they're farming strike oils. Okay, so we gotta nerf him. All right, so what if we make it 2 less? Well, they're buying strike oils for 1. Can't they still do it then? Yeah, I think they could do it. Yeah, we're gonna. Let's make it cost 1 less, because if they have to pay 2 for the strike oil, it's probably not a thing anymore, right? And the thing why this is still broken is, and we'll go over that, is that you can buy a soul rewinder in demon/elemental or pirate lobbies and landlubber. And if you have soul rewinder plus landlubber, you fill your shop with spells, and then you can buy hasty excavations, giving you an extra gold. And then with that extra gold, you buy careful investments, you buy the leaf through the pages to roll for 0. You get overconfidences, right? Because you invest a lot of early money in tempo, so you win a lot of your fights, so you make money with overconfidence. And you can still farm strike oils like that. Now, the reason,
So
yeah, go ahead. I was
I'm
just gonna
gonna,
finish up by saying that Tathlon is still really good because he's really good at doing that strategy.
right. So I'm in. I'm just like, all right. So it seems like the problem here is that there is a lot of spells that functionally cost 0. That's what it sounds like to me. Listening
There is a very high concentration of money
on tier
spells
two,
onto, yes.
on two, on
There's
tier two,
uh,
there's
there's a lot
yeah.
of money. Yeah.
So what ends up being is like you get 1 less gold, but if you are focusing strictly on buying spells, it's like, oh, cost 1 less. You can do that multiple times per turn. So it's like here you gain 2 gold, gain 3 gold a turn, like and depending and how the money works out, right? Is like if you can spend more money, this will proc more times, right? So it's like okay, maybe the first turn this is like you get 2 gold, and the second turn it's like you get 3 gold, and third turn it's like you're getting more gold.
Yes.
So it
Especially with
ends
hasty
up being
excavation costing
yeah,
0. Yeah.
yeah. So it ends up being like oh, every third spell costs 1 less. Sounds horrible. In practice, it's like gain 4 gold, from turn, 6 or 7 onwards, and it's like oh
More
that's
like gain 9 gold or some stupid
yeah.
shit. Like,
I'm being
you
generous,
go
like
hard
yeah,
with this.
yeah.
Like, I've gone up to 60 gold and shit, right? Like, you go up to, yeah,
Okay.
silly,
So
silly gold amounts.
that that's my point, right? Where it's not it looks bad, but because of how people are utilizing, the turn 2 gold smorgasbord that exists there, it actually ends up being like, hey, gain 5 gold, gain 6 gold a turn, right? So it looks bad, but because of how it functionally works in game, it's very, very strong.
Yeah, so I think before we go on, I just want to explain the
Yeah, go for
strategy
it.
a
Go
little
for
bit
it. Here we
more.
go.
Yeah, just because I don't want listeners to be like, so I want to do this. I want to do this in my game. How do I do it? Because, yeah, just getting a lot of money is generally not enough, right? You need to also not die while you're doing it. So I would say if you've never, ever done this strategy, you haven't really seen anyone do it, the safest way is to do it when elementals are in. So you want elementals in, you want demons in. The reason why is you can get the duelist card on tier 2. The duelist is the 3/4 elemental that grows for 1 health every time you roll. So if you play a lot of leaf through the pages, you're going to roll for 0, then that thing is going to grow organically, and that's going to save you a lot of health. Now, if you are more experienced at this strategy, you could force it pretty much in any demon plus pirates / elemental lobby. So you could do it without elementals in. You could just do it with pirates in because you do need landlubber. So the whole strategy is to get as many landlubbers as possible, at least 1 Soulwinder, and probably 1. There's generally no reason to buy more. You don't need a golden one. So that you can buy all hasty excavations for free. And you're going to try to roll for 0 as often as you can. So you're going to buy leaf through the pages. You're going to buy pretty much every careful investment you see. You're pretty much going to buy every coin you see. Now, if your hero has no upside to cycling coins, like let's say you're not Blood Watchers, let's say you're not Edwin, you probably don't have to do that. But it's just a habit to cycle more spells to make your eventual fungus on tier 5 bigger. And that's the basic of it. So you have Soul Rewinder, so you can buy Hasty Excavation for free. You buy all the economy spells. You roll for 0 with the Leaf Through the Pages. Now, the way how you really take the strategy to the next level is you get a Patient Scout. And you leave that on the board until it says 4-drop in most cases, or 6-drop. Now, because you're on tier 2 and because you're rolling so much, you're very likely going to get a Golden Patient Scout. Now, Golden Patient Scout has the most favorable interpretation on it. So let's say you had 1 scout on the board that says tier 4, and in that 1 turn you roll 2 more scouts, which is entirely possible with the amount of rolls you're doing. You will discover 2 4-drops when you sell that scout. So it won't reset back to 1. Now what you're looking for is Living Azurite, which is the elemental that grows your elementals in the shop, +1/+1 for every spell you cast. That's for obvious reasons extremely strong when you're doing the spell spamming strategy. And Peggy. Peggy also, you're going to have a million cards in your hand. So the Peggy is really, really strong. If you get either of those 2, you're going to be very, very strong, and you can definitely buy all the overconfidences because then you have way more stats. And then on tier 6, there is Nala. Nala is also really, really good because, again, every time you cast a spell, you get stronger. Now, you want to also be able to buy strike oils, but this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. It's kind of like Gallywix, where you don't really want to run out of steam. So Gallywix always wants to keep buying and selling and pumping and get more gold for the next round. And if your whole turn is buy 3 strike oils, you kind of just like, blah, right? You're not doing anything. So you want to make sure you buy a lot of investments, so your next turn is more gold. You want to make sure that you rolled a lot of shops to buy a lot of hasty excavations to make money. So with the strike oils, it's a little bit more of a feeling. I can't tell you any gold amount or turn where you're supposed to buy them, but essentially is make sure you have a lot of money that you can keep going into the next turn. So let's say you're playing with overconfidence and you've cast a lot of overconfidence and you won the round. That's a good turn to buy a lot of strike oils. Because then it's like, oh, 40 gold, I got to dump that, right? That's a great turn to buy strike oils. But if your starting gold is like 12, you're probably not buying any strike oils that turn. That's probably a lot of rolling, a lot of hasty excavations, a lot of investments, et cetera, et cetera. And that's, pretty much the simplest way I can explain this. I will also put a disclaimer on it. You're probably going to lose MMR at the start trying this, because you're going to be like, I'm rich, I'm dying, so much to do. Oh my God, I'm dead. Right? But it's very strong once you get used to it.
Yeah, you told me how to do it, but you didn't tell me how to live afterwards. Like, yeah, I have 50 gold, but how do I win?
Yeah. So let's say if you get Azurite, you win because your shop is 200 elementals, right? So you could just buy like a 600 elemental. It's really insane.
Let's not talk about.
Yeah, let's say you're just doing all right. Let's say pure vanilla, very plain tier 2 strategy. You just have like a giant duelist. So first of all, taunt more shit, so Bramble Witch doesn't kill your one card. It's very annoying. So taunt all your shit with slime, so you don't automatically lose to Bramble Witch. And then let's say you get up to your 50 or 60 gold turn. Let's say damage cap is off, or it's just like
how that's like just a normal.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're doing it right, you will get the 50 or 60 gold. That's not purely off strike goals. That's just like, oh, you did a lot of investments and like you did a lot of overconfidences. Right. And let's say your base gold is 20 to the strike goals. That's like I generally hover between 20 and 30 base gold when I start leveling. So and then it's just like 60 gold, and it's just like level.
Problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, 20 base gold is extremely strong. Don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you could pull this off if strike gold wasn't in the game. Which is ridiculous, right? Now, strike gold absolutely helps and makes it stronger, but I'm pretty sure if we told Jeeve, hey, Jeeve, there's like no strike gold in the game.
I don't know.
Could you make it work?
I don't know, because if you don't have strike gold, it means you just have that one power turn, right? And then you don't get like the
but you keep it going.
You keep it going.
Goals. Yeah, you do, right? So like you have the big turn, and then with all that money, you buy more investments, you buy more overconfidences. It's like Gallywix. It's like.
Oh, but you're not lovely. You're just gonna stay on 2.
Oh yeah, so you stay on 2. You really milk it as long as you possibly can, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I get what you mean. So what you're saying is you wouldn't be able to level if strike gold wasn't in, and yes, I agree. That is a part of it. But I'm pretty. I mean, at that point, you're already top 4, right? When you level, you're already top 4. So it's still very good, and you'd still have one insane turn where you just. But yes. I agree, but actually.
It does mean like maybe you're consistently like top 2 instead of top 1.
Yes. Of course,
right? Of course. And maybe that's like enough to like without for high level players to be like, I don't win all the time.
I don't want to force it. Yeah, okay, that's. Well, I mean, I think the answer is just remove lubber. I think that fixes everything, and then it's not like lubber.
You think that is like the key?
If you can't put 5 spells in your shop, this shit don't work. Yeah, that's it's very real. Like you do need 5 spells in your shop, otherwise you don't roll enough hasty excavations and leaf through the pit. So
it's interesting because I know for a fact that the designers were not like. And this Landlubber is the most broken card we introduced. They weren't thinking that at all. They were like, oh, this is a fun card. You get more spells.
Yes. And then it's like, yes. That's what he looks like. This little harmless dude is like, I'm here. It's more spells. What can it hurt? Oh no, Jeef, what are you doing? Yeah, pretty much. So, but to go back to your point, yes, if you wouldn't have the strike goals, you wouldn't have that large bank to take with you to 6. So.
Yeah,
true, but yeah,
that's what I'm thinking about. Like, You know,
I think I mean, it's still gonna be such a clown fiesta because
yeah.
on someone like on someone like ETC, you make Edwin Buddy. Edwin Buddy says for every card you buy, gain +1/+1. So those things go to 100 in no time.
So there will be some heroes that will still abuse this. Like let's say
Yes,
you
you would.
take out Landlubber and Strike All. Like we're going heavy changes. And
I'd keep
there's still
Strike Oil in because okay, so maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like without being able to spawn such a large shop of spells, it doesn't work, right? Because you'd have to buy.
I'd imagine.
So I don't think you have to remove oil. And my problem is that if you remove oil but not Landlubber, I think you're still gonna have these like insane tier 2 boards.
Right. I like oil, and I think Landlubber can be removed without like too much of a meta change. Where I think Strike All is like kind of good, right, in some scenarios. So I do think it's fair, right? And I guess I guess it's fair that you probably wouldn't have to nerf both, right? So I'm down. I'll agree with that.
That's probably the needed change. I mean, maybe they'll surprise us with a different change.
But okay, but with Landlubber gone, would there still be some heroes that could still kind of make this work, or would it just be like, nah, it's really hard now, regardless?
No, it'd be very.
It'd just be very hard.
It's just like because you roll one spell per turn, right? So like you have to pay a gold to roll. So you'd have to
just it like theoretically cuts your gold in more than half. Right.
I mean way more because every book you buy is effectively only 1 gold.
Yeah.
Because it's so it's
way more than half, right? No. Yeah. So
like it just doesn't function without Lubber.
I love it. We're introducing solutions, you know.
Yeah, for this one, I think without, can you work around Landlubber? Yes. They've done this in the past. Right? They're just like clearly a problematic card and just like, no, we're just going to change all the cards around it. And then
I don't feel like Landlubber is beloved by the design team. I think they're going to be like, all right, whatever.
Exactly.
This isn't brand or anything. We're not keeping this.
It's not Rylak. Rylak was like, oh man. It's like, oh, don't worry. We'll move Drakaseth here. We'll do this. We'll do that. We'll do that. Rylak can stay. It's fine. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We spent so much time designing Rylak. You telling me we had to remove it? No.
No. I mean, they made it work. But I don't think Landlubber needs that treatment. All right. Cool. So
let's move on.
Next up. Yeah. But this was basically half the podcast, right? Like we talked about that comp.
Sure. That's fair. And we'll keep referencing this.
Yeah. As we look at cards and nerfs, we'll talk tier 2 strategies. So yeah, sure.
All right. Next up, we have Lich Rizal is actually changing as well. So it used to be 1 gold to steal a card from the tower and you take damage equal to its turn. Now it's 2 gold. That seems pretty important to me. In terms of how crazy it could be. So Lich Rizal was like a broken hero, honestly. So I understand that they're changing it, but does it just feel a lot worse? Like you can't really
I wouldn't pick it. I wouldn't. I don't know what.
So it's like
Yogg, but take a lot of damage. Zyrella, but take a lot of damage. It's like, okay, sure.
So one of the nicest things with Lich Rizal was the ability to like level super early, and then also just the abuse of like being high tier and taking that 3 damage or 4 damage, but still getting like an insane board and using that to kind of mitigate damage instead of like losing the battles. So it just feels like this is why play this hero now compared to anything else, right? Like your advantages for picking this hero don't really seem good.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily hate the change just because a 1 gold
Lich Rizal was too broken.
It was really dumb. It was essentially, you're fighting Lich, well, you will be taking damage here, unlucky. And that's a bad feeling whenever, that's like Shutterwalk. I always reference that old Shutterwalk when Alley Cat was in. You'd like, oh, you're fighting Shutterwalk. Well, unlucky. We make that joke, but it's kind of not a joke that the reason damage cap was introduced is because Shutterwalk was a hero. It's really
It's
that's
not a joke.
that's how stupid Shutterwalk was, right? It's like, oh, matchmaking versus Shutterwalk minus 25. Unfortunately, it's like, but it's fucking turn 9. Well, yes, but also get wrecked. So that happened, and Lich to a lesser extent had that. We're like, well, I have way more cards on my board than you have because I sacrificed my health, so now I'll be taking your health as well. And that was just a really, really, really bad feeling. So I like that she's getting nerfed, but I mean, it's maybe the logical nerf, but when you look at this, like, okay, I'm going to pay 2 gold, and I'm going to pay health to get a card from the tavern. Yeah, why would I do that, right? That's like...
Yeah, I think you could maybe do something like take damage equal to half of its tier. Now the question is it rounded down or rounded up, right? Like,
yeah.
Because if it's rounded down, right, then tier 3 you're taking 1 gold. Is that too little? That feels...
you have to round it up because the tier 1 is 0 then, right?
Would be 0 exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is that... Yeah, but I mean, is that broken? Like, to be fair, like, is like,
you'd have to look at the armor value, but yeah, I'd still say so.
You'd still say so. So it'd have to be rounded up. Right?
Yeah, just taking a card from the shop. Because I mean, obviously the Zarella downside is that you're taking a 2/2.
You're getting a 2/2.
And the Yogg downside that is random. But early game that's an upside because the 1/1's better than choosing.
It is 1/1's better, yeah.
But it was really just Lich was just so good at being able to, oh, I'm just gonna level and then hero power this and have a soul rewinder and this and that. So
tier 5 would be 3, tier 6 would be 3, tier 3 and 4 would be 2, tier 1 and 2 would be 1. Like, maybe that's justifiable to pick this now. Like, I would work with that and see how it feels. That would be
for sure. Try what it, see what it feels. But I mean, when I just haven't gotten myself to pick this yet because I'm like,
exactly, right, because it looks horrible.
It's like, well, I guess I'll take a lot of damage for not much upside.
All right, let's move on. Now we have Fish of N'Zoth, which is from the N'Zoth hero power. Its old was after a friendly death rattle dies, gain its death rattle. Now it's after a friendly death rattle minion dies in combat, gain its death rattle. So they completely forgot about this hero and how broken it could be with the undead synergies of killing things in shop.
Yes, you just gave this thing a shit ton of death rattles.
Yeah. So now it's back to what it was before, which I still think is pretty powerful. So
Yep.
You're still this is like a adjustment to reverted back to it being very good.
Yeah. Fish is still just not, I mean, type dependent, but in the right lobby, very strong.
Yeah, very, very strong. Yeah. We got some armor changes. Falling Arrows now have less armor. So Murloc Holmes and Heisbar and Togwell has 8 armor. So a little bit of a nerf there. Zarella has 8 armor in higher ratings and 10 armor in lower ratings. Okay. Is Zarella a problem?
Zarella on turn 1 hero powers something and buys a spell. And then on turn...
That sounds... Is Yogg good? Tell me.
Yeah, Yogg same.
Okay.
You just get a upside.
Nice.
For sure.
Spy Captain Crag has 12 armor. I guess getting more money is just like generally much better in the spell meta, it seems.
Well, the huge thing for Crag is that you just blow your hero power, get the money, and then reroll the hero power. It was very good.
Yeah.
You just go like power level to 5, boom, all right, new hero power. Guess I am a test now. Nice, okay.
So that is Reno better as well because you can do that.
Yeah, any one use hero powers are just way better now. Yeah. But Captain Crag had 18 armor, so it was giga safe. You could pretty much always power level to 5 just due to your health, and then the hero power would allow you to do it.
Okay. Now the following heroes have more armor. Tathalon is getting more
due to his gutting of the hero power.
Yeah. Lich has more armor, and Putricide has more armor. Putricide just not doing that well.
I think it's because undeads weren't really a thing. It was just like
it was just awkward to play Putricide.
I mean, I still did okay on him because similar, right? I just like jam all my hero powers and then get into it.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not playing undead when I take Putricide. I'm just like, all right, let me just spam his hero powers, and then re-roll it.
For money.
Yeah, and I
Right.
just get money from the coin
Yeah.
guys, and I'll
I
play phalanx after that, right? I don't give a
that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's like I have no allegiance to the undead. I'm just like, give me my money, and then I'll just play something else. Goldred, what a lovely undead card. All right, let's do that. Yeah, so that's what was going on.
All
So
right, we have some minions and
yeah.
spell updates as well. Well, Smuggler's getting 2 health knocked off of it. That feels random to me. Like, did Smuggler really need to be a 2-3 instead of a 2-5? Was 2-5 such a good salary?
Well, go over the 2 next ones, and it's gonna be pretty obvious what was going on.
Okay. Blood Sandspear getting nerfed. This one I can see. Very strong card, going from a 2-2 to a 1-1, so losing 1-1 stats. Early game, that's important. Though, if you have 7 minutes on the end of your turn, right, it'll still gain, and you won't really feel it, but still reasonable, makes sense to me. So
there is now a cost to buying this, right? Before it was like, oh, 2-2 shield, what's the catch? Yeah. Oh, no catch, great, catch? Let's go. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, 1-1 shield, sure.
All right, and then Nether Drake going from a 2-5 at the end of your turn, giving your dragons +1 attack, to a 2-4 at the end of your turn, give your other dragons +1 attack. So you're not giving Nether Drake stats anymore.
Yeah.
So that does make it a lot worse. So it seems like dragons were a problem. That's what, at least in lower tier lobbies.
I was gonna say nobody played this shit in my lobbies.
Yeah,
nobody.
because I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is not.
Now what they did do is, oh, let me just put Spell Smuggler on my board with Sand Spewer and just like level and then sell that garbage, right? Because it was great tempo early, right? It was great tempo early, but the I'm pretty convinced that in low MMR this was the comp, right? The comp, like the comp is Golden Whelp Smuggler, double Golden Nether Drake, and a couple of Sand Spewers. And they were just like, I'm winning the game with this. Yeah, let's go. High health dragons. What could go wrong? And then, in high MMR, people like, my 500 pirates really don't give a shit about your dragons. So please get out of my way. So that's. But if you don't have 500 pirates against you, it's pretty good to have a board full of good dragons. So that's I'm pretty sure that's what was going on. And they probably looked at the win rates and was like, oh my God, this is, dragons are murdering low MMR. We need to nerf them. Because I saw a lot of the reactions as well on Reddit and Twitter. People like, oh my God, they're nerfing dragons. It's like, they're not nerfing dragons. This isn't dragons. Like, dragons is Caligo's brand. Like, this isn't dragons. And in my opinion, they actually buff dragons because we'll see later.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to why I think it's a buff dragons overall. But yeah, early game dragon package is undeniably nerfed, which I think is fair. It was pretty strong.
Okay. Next up, we have Ignition Specialist. So this used to be a tier 5 2-2. Now it's a tier 6 8-8. Still same ability at the end of your turn. You gain 2 random tavern spells. How is this a tier 5? How did this get released as a tier 5 anyway? So I didn't understand that.
It was a 2-2.
I don't care. Like, you're not buying it for the stat line. Like, it's so irrelevant. And it has a type. Having a type means it's buffable. That's my thoughts. Like, if you have a type, you're buffable.
But it was a 2-2. There's no way a 2-2 can be strong, like, right? Come on.
You have spells in the game. You can just turn things into 2020s. Like, who cares?
Yes, I agree. It's I like this nerf. Like, this card feels like I proper now. This is like, okay, this feels.
Why wasn't a tier 5 ever? Like,
yeah. Probably because you were like, well, it's a 2-2. Come on, how strong can a 2-2 be? It's harmless. It's a little 2-2, right? Yeah. No. This makes tripling into a 6 feel really good. Because now you have the
I love to hear that.
Yeah, dude. I have a lot of... So it's lobby dependent, of course, but...
Of course.
Dragon in, Naga in, that's really nice because you can get this guy or the Naga Discover guy, the Syllabus. It's a very fun feeling when those two are in. You're like, yeah, let's go 6. Let's, turn 9. Let's get the spell generation online. Or turn 7, 9 gold. Let's get the spell generation online. Yeah, so especially with Drokari, right? This is a super fun card. I do this all the time with Nagas. I have the Slither Spear, the comp we played, but I have a specialist in there as well. So like with a Drokari and you get a golden specialist, you get like 8 spells end of turn. You're like, wee, so strong. Yeah. Okay.
One of those guys.
Yes, spell enjoyer for sure.
Yeah. Next up, we have Mystic Sporbat. It used to be a tier 3, 4-1. Now it's a tier 4, 5-1. So Death Rattle gain a random tavern spell. So they're upping this. Same thing. Why was this a tier 3?
Yeah, I would say before the nerf, you would just buy every Sporbat early. You would
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And after the nerf, you still buy every Sporbat
I know,
early. You
I
will
know. I
see.
knew you were
So
gonna say that.
that's how you know the card was broken, right? If I power level to 4 for this and I still insta buy it, sometimes I'll actually like buy a reborn for this early in the turn. Be like, come on,
that makes
Sporbat.
sense.
Yeah. So
I mean, that makes sense, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's
for
so
sure.
strong. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I really love the meta. I think it's very fun to play. So I think we got to be careful to not kill off spell generation, but it's still very good.
It's still the best strategy. Like,
It's if you can get spell generation, you take it
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how would you balance this? Like, I feel like tier 5 is too much, right? So, like, how would you adjust?
Can't
like,
give it.
yeah.
I mean, you could give it less damage, right? Make it really, really feels bad man to play. But
Yeah,
again,
like a 3-1.
I think if they remove Landlubber and they remove Tie Distribute, we're probably in a really good spot. Like, I think we're.
I'm with you. I'm down to see like, but you have played it, right? But
Yeah.
I'm down to see 5-1 and see. Like, I feel like 3-1 is like hurts. It hurts me. Like,
Yeah. No, it's you want some strong stuff in your game, right? You want to have that fun feeling of playing with the strong stuff. So
yeah.
I'm happy to leave it at that for now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Next up we have Sprightly Scabba. I don't know if I pronounced that right. So old version, it was a tier 4, 5-2. Give a minion +1/+1 or reborn or
give
+4/+4.
Beast. Give a beast, not a minion.
Oh, give a beast, yeah.
Quite relevant.
+1/+1 and reborn or +4/+4 and taunt. Now to tier 3 with a 2/1 stat line. You choose when you give a minion +1/+1. A beast +1/+1 and reborn. Dude, this is gonna be so confusing to people listening.
It's Scarab. It's the reborn beast guy. It's now on tier 3. There you go. Boom. That's a change.
Thank you.
Which is just because Sporbat went to 4, something had to go to 3, and they swapped places.
I do not think you were ever keeping this on your board, so this is like a buff, honestly. Like, you'll see this more.
Yeah.
And that's just generally good since
helps for your Sporbats.
Yeah, you just want to reborn. Not a lot of people were picking taunt, I'm assuming. So even giving like nerfing the taunt doesn't really matter because you weren't picking taunt anyway. So
I guess they were just thinking, giving a 4/4 and taunt on tier 3 is maybe
on tier 3 is
bit
very
too
strong.
good,
I agree. So +3/+3 is fair. So I think this is just makes sense.
Yep. It
does make beast a little bit better because you get more chances to reborn the beast. So
beasts are just it's chicken, man. Chicken's so good.
Yeah, chicken needs to change. Next up, we have Spellbound Seafarer. Now, old version 4/5. After you buy 3 cards, you get a random tower spell. Now it's a 4/6. But after you buy 4 cards instead of 3, you get a random tower spell. So, decent nerf to Seafarer. Probably still very, very good. What do you think?
Yeah, so this is a great nerf because I think, for pure APM pirates, once you're going, it changes nothing because you're just going cards, right?
But it takes a little bit longer.
It takes longer to get online. Like, you can't just rush 5, buy 2 of these, and live every time. Whereas before, that was actually very likely. You just rush 5,
you get a 4/6 instead of a 4/5.
High tempo, yeah. Now it's kind of like Tethys, right? When Tethys was very good, and I think it started at 8, and now it's at 9. I don't think it started at 7 and then 8, 9, but still going from 8 to 9, it did hurt Tethys. And again, once you're rolling, it matters nothing. But it's the moment from, I have my Tethys, now I'm buying, now I'm infinite, that takes longer. And same thing with Seafarer. From the moment you buy the Seafarers and move into Pirates, it takes longer to go infinite because you just get fewer spells early. So fewer spells means fewer golden touches. Golden touch was often how you got your Tethys, etc., etc., etc. So there's just, it's a good nerf because I still play Pirates, but I absolutely don't force it the way I did before.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, next up we have Trembling Trolley. So old version 0/9, Avenge 3, gain a random tower and spell. Now it's a 0/10, Avenge 4, gain a random tower and spell. Avenge 4 to Avenge 3 does matter. So I do wonder um, how good this one is. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, if you have a board that supports trolley, you still buy trolley.
You still buy, yeah.
So
So it I
same
guess
as the
it's
other
the
stuff. It's
same.
just
Yeah,
it's weaker, and it was
it is.
very strong, and now it's just strong. You know, assuming you have the board for it. If you don't have
Assuming
the
you have
board
the
for it,
board,
you can
yeah.
skip it. But
Yeah.
you have some Taunt Reborn. This shit is still really nice.
Okay. Makes sense. That sounds logical.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you
Your
just go like.
response has
From...
not surprised me in the slightest.
It's good. It feels more, you know, before pretty much every spell generation card was like, well, this is way too strong, and I was just like, okay, this is strong, but not necessarily like, oh my god, super bonkers.
All right. Now, Lightning Lighter Fighter has changed. Essentially, it's now a 4/1, and its Death Rattle also deals 4 instead of 5. It used to be a 5/1 and dealing 5. Now it's a 4/1 dealing 4. So pretty significant because usually with Lighter Fighter, you were spamming it tons of times in your combat. Now you're losing a significant amount of damage. It's still probably annoying, but
Yep, that's
less
pretty
damage.
much it. I would say
Yeah.
annoying is a perfect description, and
Mm,
it's not something where you go like, oh my god, lighter comp, I can't win, because I've actually had some top twos where I'm the lighter, and I just am hopelessly outmatched by numbers. It's
right.
just
Right.
it's elementals or pirates, and I'm just like, Jesus,
Right.
this is not gonna happen. So
Yeah, I can't deal with that 500
yeah, there's
100
not enough
elemental, and
lighters in
they
the
have
world for
3
this.
or 4 of those.
So still annoying in combination with chicken, where you are RNG dependent. If you go first, your chicken will proc, and then, you know, assuming you're Goldrun or Phalanx, you'll buff your board out of the lighter range. If they
Right.
go first, their chicken procs first and kills all your shit before you buff, which is
Right.
just that mechanic is annoying. It's
Because it's
perfect
just a
description.
50-50
Yeah,
flip. Yeah.
the skill expression there is, did I go first or did they go first? And that's stupid. But yeah, again, I don't have all
There's
the
always been
answers.
that type of element, but with Lighter Fighter, it's more pronounced.
I would say chicken is more pronounced.
That's
Yeah,
fair. Lighter
because
Fighter is innocent.
lighter be fine, right? Because it just goes off after combat has
Yeah.
started, and it's not like you're
Right.
gonna
Right.
kill my coral before it buffs, right?
Right.
Like, it does what it's supposed to do. It's like a counter to Exodia builds, which is
Mm.
fine. That's okay that it's in. The problem is that once you have a chicken and they have a chicken, it's just like, well, you know, literally whoever goes first wins here, which
Yeah.
is not very fun feeling. That's
Super
just
fair.
it. Yep. But I mean, overall, good nerf, good adjustments. I don't think this card in general is problematic.
All right. Next up, we have Hummingbird. I I agree with this. Like, I always wondered why Hummingbird was a 0/5, man. It always bothered me. Now it's a 2/4. So it goes from a 0/5 to a 2/4. So you can actually buy this card without like having a full beast comp and be like, oh, this does something. Every time I'm like, why is it a 0/5? I can't play this really unless I already have like a beast synergy, especially that one drop that summons 2 more beasts. Like, that's the card he'd pick up into Hummingbird, and then it's like, okay, this is pretty good, right? But now you can just kind of play it. It's a 2/4. That's a good 2-drop stat line, like, and then it has upside, like good upside. So, yeah, pretty big buff to me. Like, I lose 1 health, I don't care. I want the 2 attack.
Yeah, huge buff, huge buff.
Yeah.
This card is a little frustrating sometimes when, you know. So before
When you have synergy,
yes, Hummingbird was a
so
good
good.
card on a beast
Yeah.
card on a beast
Yeah.
boards, right? That was a
It
good
was
card.
so good with beast.
Now it's a disgusting card on a beast board. So if your opponent has double mana saber, double hummingbird, you're just like, Jesus, what the fuck is this? Right. So fine, right? Because probably people weren't buying hummingbird, and the people that were losing. So I just still have to adjust it sometimes. That I look at a beast board, I'm like, Jesus, I'm taking so much damage here.
Yeah, I bet like early game beasts are rejoicing with Hummingbird change.
Yeah, I mean, they just have a, like, beasts and nagas, I think, are, and maybe dragons to an extent, are just so strong on tier 2, right? If you have the turtle and mana saber, it's just free health, which is great, and early game health matters way more than damage. And then the hummingbird,
And that's
buffs
why you
everything.
could play this freaking landlubber scaling comp, because you just get the Hummingbird and some cost synergy, and then you're like, whew, I'm free to play landlubbers for the next 3 turns.
I wouldn't necessarily say Hummingbird is the key to Landlubber comp, but
Yeah,
I've
well,
done it.
it
Yeah,
was
but I get what you're
dragons,
saying.
hummingbird, nagas. Pick one of the three,
Yeah.
and you're good to go.
Anyways, not a huge change. Just good for Hummingbird. Good for Hummingbird.
Yeah, yeah. Now New Zhao getting a buff, going from a 6-5 to a 7-6, which is meaningful.
Yep.
Get an extra damage. Like his attack procs twice, so it actually means you're getting two more stats. It also gets some health. Not as important in turn 5, but
Due to the
buff. I guess
meta, yeah, go ahead.
people weren't playing enough Nizao, I guess.
Yeah, due to the meta, I've not bought a new Zao since the patch. So honestly, I forgot I got buffed, which is just entirely because new Zao doesn't belong in a beast build. Right?
Yeah.
Beast is all about just buffing with Goldrun and just spamming tokens, which is
more for
Menagerie.
Menagerie. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Menagerie buffing.
It's a Nathanos target. That's good.
Yeah.
If you have a Nathanos, you can just new Zao, this exists. Cool. All right. So yeah, that's the thing with beasts. Like you could have double Goldrun, Golden Titus, Golden Chicken, and you could say, oh, I'll do that to buff my new Zao, like back in the day to buff my Hydra, right? But it's like, no, play this mech horse because it'll be a 70-70 token that makes a 70-70 token that makes a 70-70 token. It's just, and that's so stupid.
70-70 token that makes two 70.
Yeah, well, that's assuming you got board space. Like I would just go.
That also.
I'm going from the thing where on my beast board generally, I have 6 minions alive because nothing's dying.
If you still have 6 minions, then you have destroyed the opponent. I'm just saying, like in the worst case scenarios, when you actually have a chance of
when
losing,
your minions are dying, imagine, dude.
When you actually have a chance of losing, it is a 77 that summons 2 77s, which can summon 2. Like so it's like that's what you're fighting against. Like that's what Nizao has to do with it. That's not Nizao. You're not cutting it. So bit rough there.
It's just due to how beasts function. There's no space for on the beast board for Nizao. But I mean, changes might happen, and then suddenly Menagerie is a bit more popular, and then it's fine to have it.
Yeah. Next up, we have Bazaar Dealer. So it's going from a 3-6 to a 2-4. So this one is 1 tavern spell each turn costs health instead of gold to buy. So, I mean, if you're playing demons, it was good, right?
Yeah, demons. I think so demons were solid at high MMR, and then I can only imagine how well they performed in lower MMR because demons are pretty streamlined. Right? Anytime a comp is streamlined, it's really good for low MMR because
of course,
the shit you buy on turn 1 and turn 2 could stay on your board the whole game. It's like that Weaver could stay. That Reminder is going to stay.
The simple, like the comps that were doing well were dragons and demons. That's gonna be my guess.
Yeah. When we look at these nerfs, right? So they were just super streamlined. So, but it was good at high MMR. Like I played a fair bit of demons, just because I mean you need a Rewinder. If you didn't have Rewinder, nothing in demons works. But assuming you have Rewinder, Bazaar Dealer was a way to get extra value. Percussionist gives you extra value. Malkazar gives you extra value. So there was just a high amount of self-damage things available to get a lot of value.
Wasn't Percussionist originally a tier 5 minion?
Yes, and then demons sucked and they pulled it to 4. And now demons are good, so they pushed it to 5. Poor Percussionist.
Yeah, questionable. But yeah, Percussionist is going back to tier 5, so it was a tier 4-4-4, now it's a tier 5-6-6 once again, right? Like, so they're like, nope, this was wrong.
Well, it was right, and then they made Bazaar Dealer and stuff, and then it was way too much on 4. Because the Percussionist was pulling the Bazaar Dealer, and the Bazaar Dealer was then giving you the spell, and then the spell was giving you more Percussionists, and it's like... It's like, you could literally do that loop, right? Where a Bazaar Dealer would pull the Battlecry Discovery, and then a Battlecry Discovery to give you Percussionist, and Percussionist give you a Bazaar Dealer, and you play the second Bazaar Dealer, and it goes nuts like that.
Yeah. Fair enough. Next up, we have Utility Drone. Oh, this buddy. It was a 6-7. At the end of your turn, give your minions +1/+1 for each magnetization they have. Now it's a 4-5. But at the end of your turn, you give your minions +2/+1 for each magnetization they have. And that really scales very large, like very high. So it means that your magnetized minions are going to be getting a lot of attack with utility drones. So pretty I would say pretty big buff for utility drone. In
Yeah.
my opinion.
I agree. That is a huge buff for utility drone. Now, due to the lubber meta and due to just how strong
You
spell
don't
generation,
see as much mechs, right?
well, mechs don't really have spell generation. If
That's
you're
what I mean.
Well, you have trolley,
like-
right? But the problem with trolley is if you're playing a classic mech board, you generally
You don't
have just
have-
big deflectos. Like, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
your taunt has menace on it, but because your first things have shields, it's pretty likely that the oh, RDU, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone.
Hello. We're talking about the patch.
Yeah, guys, you crashed the podcast, but welcome everyone. This is not a new patch that just dropped. We are discussing the latest update. If you're interested in the lubber comp, we talked about it at the start, but we'll yeah. So we're just discussing utility drone and how normally this would be a pretty big impact, but because mech boards in general don't run your Spore Bat or Ignition Specialist, they don't really generate spells. It's pretty difficult for a traditional, Divine Shield mech board to get a lot of trolley value, and then they don't generate spells and they just fall behind comps that do generate spells. So I think that if they do nerf spell generation further, suddenly utility drone is really strong. But right now I've played it once or twice where it was fine. I was just like, okay, I have a good board for it.
You remember what I said last podcast? Like, I don't like that you can't do non-spell generation comps. You're like, oh, it's fine. Like, they have to make the new archetype good, and I'm just like, it's too much, And here you're like, they need to nerf it again, and then maybe we'll get to see other comps. And I'm just like, what did I say? That's time. It's too much.
No, but it's the spell update, so I'm fully biased here. I love playing this patch.
And I'm coming in with the numbers. Like, what is this?
So
why
I
is spell
am
generation
willing
too
to
crazy?
tolerate it. I'm willing to tolerate mechs being kind of unplayable, even though they have a strong buff in utility drone.
But my problem is, it's not mechs that are unplayable. It's everything that's not spell generation. What is this?
They should have thought about that before not having a spell generation minion. Come on. Most things are. Let's see. Pirates, more than fine. Nagas, more
Because
than
they
fine.
have spell generation.
Yeah. Beasts, insane. Demons,
Because they have the
fine.
freaking bird that
Yeah,
is
but I'm
so
trying to
OP.
figure out how many are there that's not, right? So now we're at 4. So mechs we talked about, right? Mechs not so much. Then what else is there? Murlocs.
There was Quillboars, Undeads, and
right.
was something that was getting buffs.
Yeah, that's
Murlocs,
true.
right?
All the things that don't generate spells are garbage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
why is it
that's
like
true.
that?
That's true. When you look at the strategies, it's all garbage. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's we'll continue on.
It took 2 weeks for you to be like, yeah, maybe you're right.
I still like the patch, but yeah, it's true. If your comp can't generate spells, you're just not playing with the big boys. All right, a huge change for the next one.
All right, Swamp Strikers going from a 1-4 to a 1-5. Oh, it's insane. Actually, like turn 1, that's impactful. Maybe it survives into a 2-3 now, right? Like that's not bad.
You buy
like,
it
that's
sometimes.
actually...
Like that's a good buff. Like I joke about it, but I'm like I looked at Swamp Striker one of my games today. You know what? I think I'm gonna buy you here. That makes sense.
It healed me for 2 life.
I hadn't said that in a long time. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the Swamp Striker. So it's a good change. Yeah, sure.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Murloc's getting some love, right? Crazy Swamp Strikers.
The times we live in, right? Murlocs needing buffs. That's pretty much words that have, they don't get uttered in most metas.
Yeah. Heedless Hoarder, it's used to be a tier 4, 5, 6. Now it's a tier 3, 4, 5. So after you sell this, you give a friendly minion this minion stats. So, it doesn't really feel like that impactful.
Because Murlocs don't really generate spells, this is not relevant.
I look at this.
I'm gonna say that for the next card as well.
All right, next up we have Kingberg Gurgle. This would be such an insane buff in a different meta.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this would be such a good buff in a different meta.
+3/+3 now instead of +2/3. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also a 6/3, which is actually impactful because sometimes you needed oh wait, this
No more
oh
death
it's
rattle.
changed.
No more
Oh,
death
no more
rattle.
death trap.
Yeah, that's a while ago that they changed that.
Oh yeah. This is a big nerf then.
Well, it
Where's
was so it went from the death rattle to being a 2/3, right? So buff
yeah.
2/3,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's 3/3, which is still a
Because
buff
people
overall because
yeah, because
yeah.
people would just buy this and sell this.
Yeah,
And
for the
yeah.
vast majority of Begurgles, but there were those games where you kept the Begurgle pair on the board, it was tempo, and then you
It's
tripled
because you
it.
tripled one.
Yeah.
That was your triple, and you're like, I guess I have to keep this early. And then
Yeah.
you got a second one, and you're like, I guess I have two. I guess I'll look for the triple. And then you get the triple, and you're like, all right, now I can sell you.
That's true. But yeah, it's just not relevant really because you don't really generate spells playing Murlocs.
Give your other minions death that'll gain a tavern spell.
Oh god, get out of here. Oh my god. Colin's bringing the Megastar back. That's a tier 6. Adapts Death Rattle, give a spell. Yeah. And then Tide's Blessing, and then 10 spells in hand.
I'm obviously trolling. That's
yeah.
too bad.
Of course.
Wow, they're moving Jazzer to tier 2?
Exactly. That's a
What?
big one. Yeah. This is them saying, play some damn Quillbore. Why won't you?
What? This is not balanced if they removed spell generation.
Well, so it was already insane, right? So go to the next one.
I know. Okay. But yeah, Moon Bacon Jazzer is now in from a tier 3/2/5 to a tier 2/1/3. And this is your blood gems get an extra +1 health this game. This card was insane. I don't understand this change. Next one, we have Paint Smudger. It's going from a tier 4/5/3 to a tier 3/3/2. So whenever you cast a tavern spell, play a blood gem on another friendly Quillbore. So that you can get that on tier 3 now. I guess.
Can you imagine what people were doing with this?
No. What are they doing?
Landlubber, buff my gems, buy all the economy spells. Did a gem. It's just the same thing.
But I mean,
it's the same thing. It was broken. It was like 500 Quillbores, whatever, without ever leaving tier 3. Because what you would do is you would just buy Jazzers, right, and triple them, and then let's say your gems get up to like 7/7 or 8/8. Got a Piper on the board, got a couple Jazzers you played. You now have 2 Paint Smudgers on the board. We're talking +16/+16 per tavern spell played. Oh, a coin. That's a tavern spell. A reckless investment. That's a tavern spell. Leaf through the pages. That's a tavern spell.
Yeah, but
right.
How is this balanced? Like,
It's not. So it's disabled, right? First of all, Paint Smudger's not in the game. Due to they say due to a bug, and I have no reason not to believe them, but it's also convenient because it was actually busted, right? So this was in for, I think, a day, right? So a day people were abusing this. We're just staying on tier 3, get Landlubber, get Paint Smudger, buff your gems.
The bug is that we messed up and this card is Omega broken. Like, what is...
Well, they have not... I mean,
the
the tier 2 strategy is arguably stronger, and that's not been disabled. So again, I believe them when they say it was a bug. I'm just saying it's good timing as well, because that shit... We would have had 2 insane strategies running around. So the... But again, right, this...
I don't understand the Moon Jazzer...
I think so. The Moon Bacon Jazzer change. So I think what they saw, right, is they look at their statistics.
Their stats,
they look at their win rates.
Rule the world in game design.
Yeah, and it makes sense if you look at your types and you say, gee, all the types that aren't really generating spells are really bad. What do we do? Do we start making a spell generation card for every type, or do we just throw a lot of buffs at them and see if they can compete? Now, Quillbore are playable in situations where beasts are in when you triple into Rylak. So what you can do is you can stay on tier 3, triple a Moonbacon Jazzer into a Rylak, play a Rylak next to your Jazzer, still stay on 3, get the Pipers, get the gem generation. If you're lucky, you can triple into a Geomagus as well, which has been moved from tier 5 to tier 4. Geomagus is a Quillbore that I think it's going to be the next one up, right? I may as well talk about it. So Geomagus Rogook went from tier 5 to tier 4. Whenever a blood gem is played on this, play a blood gem on a different friendly minion. So you can play Quillbore, but you kind of need beasts in for Rylak next to your Moonbacon Jazzer. And then you just have a lot of gem generation from the tier 3 Quillbore that has Death Rattle, generate a gem, and the tier 3 Quillbore that says at the start of your turn, discard a spell and get, 3 gems instead. So you can just throw away a gem. It doesn't have to be a tap-in spell. So essentially it's plus, net plus 2 gems per turn. And then with Rogoog, every gem is worth 2 gems. And because you've buffed your gems a lot, it's playable. But again, it's a little finicky because you do need to hit a lot of cards early and you need to hit your triples. It's, you could do this, but if beasts are in, why not just go for a Spore Bat and play Goldrun? So that's generally what I do. I don't really like the riskier. Like, essentially, I'll do Quillbore if they're really giving it to me. It's like, oh, here, you went 3-on-3 and there's like a Piper and the 2/2 that generates a spell, right? That's fine.
Yeah, I hear all of this, and it just feels all very power creepy to me.
So what you're okay, so maybe let me get this right. Let me see if I understand this right. You're like, well, at some point they're gonna balance the spell nonsense, and then everything else is gonna be chaos because they overbuffed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Like things. I don't think you can leave Moon Jazzer on 2, and probably have a balanced, kind of.
That's a relatively easy fix though, right? Let's say they do, change spell meta. They can just be like, all right, Jazzer, back to it being a 3. Right? I don't think there's any. That's not a one-way door, right? It's not like, well, Jazzer's a 2 now. He can't change it back.
Is that elegant? Like, okay, we're introducing
is it elegant?
A new archetype. We have to buff every other type to be overpowered, and then as soon as, like, let's say the meta changes, we go out of buddies, we go out of quests, we go out of spells. Like, I don't know if they're going out of spells, like, based on feedback, but theoretically, right? Like, now we have to nerf everything to be back to standard. Like, it just feels like, don't you want the game to be balanced regardless? Like, whether you add a new
well, it's all about your options, right? What are your options? I think in this case they could make whole new minions that are spell generators within a type, but then they have to keep track of a lot of things where they don't accidentally break the game with that minion. And it's also a lot of extra work to just design something and test it. Or they could nerf spell generation into the ground, and then their whole expansion is like, well, play spells, but not really, because it's, sometimes you're really...
I mean, it reminds me of release Nagas, right? They were just, like, not very good, but then they overbuffed it, and now they were, like, the only thing you could do.
Wait, was that Nagas? Were Nagas shit when they released it?
There was one type that was very bad. Was it?
Yeah, maybe it was like maybe dragons or something. I don't know.
No, dragon. It wasn't dragons. Dragons were released pretty early.
Right. Undead. Let's ask chat. What was the type that was really bad when they released? Was there a type that was really? I guess there was.
It was really bad. Then they buffed it. Then it was OP.
Oh, Quillbore, right?
Yeah, I think it was Quillbores. Yeah, that's right.
Or maybe
Nagas were OP.
Wait, were Quillbore OP? Maybe, I don't know. Like, maybe Charlie was it Charlie straight away a 7/7? Maybe Quillbore were OP on release.
I don't remember, chat. It's been
whatever. Anyways, it's a theoretical thing. It's not that important.
This is a theoretical statement.
Yeah.
I've lost the plot.
Your point is that they want the new stuff to be fun, and for the new stuff to be fun, it's got to be strong.
But then, because the new stuff is strong, everything is weak, and because everything is weak, they have to buff the old stuff to the new stuff level, right? And if you're like happy with the new stuff level, you just end up getting like progressively stronger kind of meta game introductions or mechanic introductions to kind of keep up with that mechanic of like making sure it's good enough to be strong against the competition, right? Like if you introduce something and it's just not good enough, you rarely see it played. So it has to be better than good enough, because generally people will tend to do their own thing compared to try something new, unless it's undeniably stronger. So it has to be in that kind of level. But if you're continuously doing that with every new mechanic you introduce, you just make the game like, oh, this everything is like very, very OP.
And I want to really emphasize
on 2 is just kind of like, what? How is this allowed? but it's allowed because the spell meta is like, oh yeah, this isn't even the best thing you could be doing.
It's not in my top 3, right? So
I know,
we'll
I know,
play
I
we'll
know.
play after, right? And then it's like, oh, you're gonna see the jazz like buy a chance. Like, no, we're doing lover.
No, no,
Wait,
no. I look
maybe
at
I should
this and
pilot, right, for lover, or do you want to pilot
no,
for
no, you
lover?
should definitely pilot. Yeah.
Okay. All right,
I
we could
look at
try to
this
force lover after this.
and I think back to like last patch, or like before spells. If this was introduced before spells, I'm
Yes.
looking at this and I'm like,
Disgusting.
this makes no sense, right? And
Yeah.
now I look at the spellman and I'm like, yeah, this isn't even that great. And I just like that distinction is so odd to me, I guess. Is
Right,
where
right.
I'm
You're just
coming
trying to
from.
wrap your brain around. All right, we're gonna move to the next one now, but
Thank you, thank you.
so snarling conductor was a I'll do this one, I guess. So snarling conductor was a 5/5 that said at the start of turn discard a spell to gain 3 gold. Now it's a 4/5 start of turn discard a spell to gain 4 gold. This is it's not meta breaking or anything, but it's nice. It's just nice.
It seems quite good.
Yeah.
Right.
The right situation,
I
it's
thought
solid.
the 3 gold was already good, right? So it moving to 4 gold seems like, wow, that's surprisingly efficient.
Well,
like imagine you have 2.
The issue is that your curve is weird because you have to have a spell in your hand. So sometimes
it should be a blood gem, right?
yeah, but I mean, you need to have that, right? So you can't really buy this. So the issue is that a lot of the time your curve is kind of, you're spending all your gold on minions.
I feel like if you're gaining 4 gold, like you should be able to generate a blood gem.
Yeah. I mean, but if it's not on your board, right? It's like you need to have the 2/2 guy on your board, right? When it dies, generate a gem, or you need to have the 3/3 that has been generating gems. If you don't have initial gem generation, it's not. You know, I would trade a gem if I had one, but I don't have one. So I'm just saying
So
that.
let's say you had 6 gold on turn 4, and you see this guy and a way to get a
Wait,
gem.
tier 4.
Or yeah, tier 4, yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying cycle Sunbake by this guy?
Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, for sure. Sure, go for it.
Okay, yeah, okay. Isn't that good? Like,
it's good, but it's a specific. You know, you don't always have 6 gold in a Sunbake in the shop.
Well, like, you only need 5 gold with a Sunbake, so yeah, like
That's fair. 5 gold, but true. It's
and you're getting 4 gold. Like you're getting 8 gold over 2 turns. Like that.
Yeah,
like,
again,
is that not a snapper?
I am not saying that this is a bad card. I'm just saying that the condition can be awkward. You know.
Wow, this is an insta buy. Okay, I don't
yeah,
care.
yeah. I mean, this is the thing, right? Like a lot of the time, I want to buy this, but I can't get the gem in my hand that turn. So I'm like, nah, I can't.
But you
proc
wouldn't
this.
buy this if you couldn't proc it like the turn you.
Well, like let's say I power level to 4, sure.
Yeah.
I'll put a 4 or 5 body on the board, but let's say it's like, 9 gold or 10 gold.
9
I
gold.
might not.
The game is over at that point.
9 gold. We're in deep end game right now.
Yeah, we are honestly at this.
All right, we'll go to the new Bristleback if you want to do that. All right.
Next up, we have Bristleback. So it used to be a 2/10 Avenge 1, play a blood gem on all your Quillboars. Oh wow! Now it's a 3/10 Avenge 2, play 2 blood gems on all your Quillboars. That's a nerf, right?
Big nerf, yeah.
Yeah, you go from Avenge 2 to Avenge 1 to Avenge 2, so the procs are less frequent, so pretty nerfy. It's like close to fundamentally the same, but there's more breakpoints where you can struggle, which is the problem.
It's for Tough Tusk. Tough Tusk was disgusting with Leroy out, so they wanted to address that comp.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Because there was, I mean, you had some counters like Sindore or Bramble, but Bramble Witch is like it doesn't kill it,
I
right?
agree.
It just removes the shield,
like,
and then it just gets rebuffed afterwards. So
yeah. Tough Tusk is the big issue. That's true, and I agree with that.
So
this makes sense.
And Bristleback, if your gems are big, this is still a great card.
Yeah,
if your gems are big, great card. So fundamentally, it doesn't really change. It's just that specific cheese, the Tough Tusk cheese doesn't really work anymore. Now you can still taunt 2 Tough Tusks and say, hey, let's see what happens, and that probably does well, right? That probably does well, but you're not gonna kill 19 minions without losing your tough tusk, which was the thing you did before. You're just like, well, I have a mech horse, so I got shields for days, right? It's like, that's what you did before. You're just like,
Yeah, it was too broken. I
yeah,
agree. I think this is a good.
you kill a whole board without losing a single relevant minion. So yeah, okay, but yeah, decent nerf, I would say.
Next up, Reef Rifter is going from a 1/2 to a 1/1, and it's still good. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, interesting.
They made it as weak as possible, and it's still good. I still buy this most chops.
Slow down. It can be a 0/1. Slow down. It could be.
That's true. It could technically be a 0/1. But yeah, I still buy this card. I mean, it feels fine still. So very happy with the Reefer for my board.
All right. And then next up, we have Nerubian Deathstormer. So it's going from a 1/3 to a 1/4. Well, essentially, it's a 2/4, right? Since it will buff your undead. So it's going from a 2/3 to a 2/4. So, okay. Like, people weren't playing this. I don't think this is going to necessarily change whether people play it. But maybe if you see two undeads or 2 swarmers, you might pick it up.
Yeah, early games.
I don't really think you're going to force undeads because you bought 2. But you
know, no. It's just early game. Yeah. This has pretty much no bearing whether you play on that game or not.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Well, I mean, if well, see, the problem is like in a different meta, I would like be like, well, in a different meta, like maybe you having that's a 3/4, like 2 extra attacks, like just baked into your undead comp might be cool. But like you look at this and you're like, are you generating tavern spells? No, get out of here, right? I can't argue with that logic.
I mean, you could be Shutterwalk, I guess, so that it's
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, if we're playing one specific like hero, yeah, you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm on your side there. I agree. It doesn't generate spells. So.
That's a shame. Next up, we have Mummifier. So it's going from a 3/2 to a 5/2. Does it generate spells? No, it doesn't.
No. No, I mean, you can still play any type in a high roll, right?
You can play any type in a high roll, and you can play any type early game.
Yeah. As well. You get a Golden Brown with the Burlocks, that shit's great. You get like Golden Titus with the Nubrak, and that can be great. It's just, on average, they're going to be very weak.
Mm-hmm. But a little bit, it's cool to see cards get buffed. It's a shame that it doesn't fix the underlying problem if you can't compete late game with tavern spells generation. I guess tavern spell generation, because you can always buy tavern spells yourself, but you can't compete with generation over the course of a game, right? Because like obviously you generate a 1 mana spell, like okay, but over the course of a game, right, getting like 10 extra spells or more is going to be a lot better than any stat or any board composition you can really contest with other classes. And it's not even like the comps that generate spells have bad stats or have some type of weakness. You can generate spells plus have like insane stats on top. So it's not like you're losing anything going these generation compositions. You just get this huge buff on top of the already good comp you're already building. So it's like, why would I do something else?
Yeah,
I theoretically.
Recently, I just had a game where it's so apparent where I was just starting every turn with 10 spells in my hand due to like Chicken Sporebat, and I'm just sitting here with like 2 free Divine Shields in my hand. So like, yeah, I mean, you could hypothetically compete with this, but you'd have to have such an insane set of shops. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Moros, Steward of Death. I don't know if that's pronounced right. It's going from a 6/2 reborn. Give your undeads 6 health. From a 6/1 reborn Death Rattle, give your undeads +2/+6. So you're getting 2 attack on top.
Yep.
So cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's nice. Stronger mid game. Nice, yeah. Again, you're not really building this, but it's.
I want to know what the meta looks like if you take out all of the tavern generation cards.
Tavern spell generation.
Yeah, the tavern spell cards. Like, what is them like? Because this looks good. Like,
Yeah, you'd play this.
yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, how balanced is your game if you actually took out Tavern Generation? Like it's all being hidden by the fact that these all suck in comparison to Tavern Generation.
Well,
But if you
let me
actually
rephrase
took them out,
here.
all
This
right,
is good
go for it.
tempo because it's not scaling, right?
Yeah, everything is good tempo. Like
It's
that's
scale.
what all these buffs do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also with. Let's say you're playing an okay Caligos comp. At least that's getting bigger, right? This isn't getting bigger unless you have Kalthazot. So if you have Kalthazot, then yeah, this is scaling. So for the most part, it's just good tempo, and then you ditch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still good. Like I don't know.
All
Like
right,
that. This is a lot of health.
couple
Like 12
more.
health on
Let's get them done.
All right, fine. Grave Robber. It's going from a 3/4 to a 4/3. Instead of destroying an undead and gaining +4/+4, you're getting +5/+5. So that's pretty powerful if you have the micro mummy, that kind of thing. Those undead reborn cards. So
Yeah, in theory it's good. I just always find myself, okay, I have this big guy and then it's awkward. So I haven't been loving these starts. Like I was bigger on this card last time we talked, and now I've played more with it.
We were much bigger. You're like, wow, but apparently it sucked enough to get buffed.
Well,
what do you know?
You still lose to it. That's the thing. But I think it's just the money it costs end up backfiring a bit. So
yeah. It costs 1 gold, right? Like,
well with
maybe.
specific, like if you have the 0/2 skeletons start where it turns into 2/1/1s, that one it's still very good because you're at the very least you could just eat it one time, and then you
get 2 gold.
Exactly, right? And you'll have a 9/8
Yeah.
on tier 2 that gives you a 1/1 extra. So that's still
So
good.
there are some combos where this is like,
Yeah, I still buy this. I absolutely still buy this. I just don't.
But like over their stat data, it's not doing well.
Well, I mean, probably half the time people misposition it and eat their phalanx, and they're like, "Oh, fuck." So.
I can't.
All right, chat.
Maybe.
Who here has done that? Raise your hand if you've eaten your phalanx with a grave cobbler.
No, people aren't raising their hand.
Nobody does that. That's never happened in the history of this game before.
Good. Next up, we have Archlike Kel'Thuzad. So it's just getting a lot of stats. So going from a 7/4 to a 10/8. So that's a lot of stats.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some undead boards in top 2, and I've probably lost to an undead board here or there, but it's
of course. But consistently, it's not the game-winning composition.
Yeah, this is the Rick and Morty meme. Like, what is my purpose? You triple my phalanx. Oh God, right? Yeah. That's what this guy does. It's the phalanx tripler, right? It's not the undead
And phalanx is still in the game, but it did get nerfed, so
Yep.
it's going from. It used to be a 7/7, right?
It was a 7/7 that gave +7/+7. Let's all just stop and appreciate that. Phalanx was a 7/7 that buffed +7/+7.
And then they got nerfed to a 5/5, and they're like, "Nah, that's still too much." So it's going down to a 4/4. You think it's going down to a 3/3?
I was surprised it didn't immediately go to a 3/3.
Okay.
Because I looked at it. And I was like, before the nerf, right? And I was thinking, if this goes to 4/4 and they change nothing about Phalanx and Kel'Thuzad interaction, I definitely still force this.
Okay.
And then
still
I saw them nerf it to a 4/4. I'm like, oh, okay, so I do exactly the same thing now. Cool.
And so this hasn't changed anything.
No, it's still giga oppressive.
Broken.
So the issue with Phalanx is that if you want Phalanx to be a card, you need it to be viable in its normal form and simultaneously not be insane when you have 3 goldens of it. And I just don't think you could do that. I don't think you can have a card that's fine. Yeah, but I mean, it's so dumb. But when you say who has 3 golden phalanxes, it's like pretty much everyone with the Kel'Thuzad. Like you get up to 3 golden phalanxes quite easily, actually. So for a card to be balanced in its normal form and also not break the game when you have 3 golden versions of it, with, probably Titus Blessing, and Reborn on all of them. Yeah, good luck with that. That's very difficult to do. Now, I will say, in no beast
Nah,
lobbies.
you don't have to. You don't have to. Will say it. Just end it on.
Uh,
End it on.
if beasts aren't in without the chicken, it's actually fine. But the chicken just breaks it like crazy. Like 3 golden phalanxes, start of turn, proc all of them, Baron, proc all of them again, Titus Blessing, proc all of them again, right? It's like, it's not okay, right? Like just 3 golden phalanxes being buffed
I'm
by chicken
hearing
is
that
insane.
Titus Wrestling is still in the game.
Yes.
So they
Weirdly
didn't listen
enough.
to us.
Which is actually a buff to the phalanx comp, right? When you think about it. Titus Blessing wasn't in the game for a while. It was disabled due to a bug. Now it's back.
Right.
So now you can have Titus Blessing and Phalanx, which just, you know, it makes up for the fact that it lost 1-1.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Still, it's still top tier composition,
yeah.
Phalanx KT.
So we're still in agreement, like maybe just remove it.
Yeah, although I will say, in a lot of the things I'm mentioning that it's a problem, I say, oh, this with chicken, oh, that with chicken, oh, this with chicken.
Oh, right. I
So,
see. So maybe Phalanx, you know, could be problematic, but isn't the main cause. Like,
yeah,
the real villain is hiding in the shadows, looking from the sidelines with that meme, like just like
yeah, clucking from the shadows. Yeah. The issue is that they've just balanced the game around chicken now, right? They're at least the death rattles. So if you remove chicken from the game all of a sudden, then a lot of the death rattle shit doesn't work anymore. So yeah, it's I don't really have the answer for that straight away. But yeah, you still play it.
Yeah, we did talk about it where it was like only trigger beast death rattles, but it still works with phalanx, right? So that doesn't solve the phalanx.
That's the all thing.
Yeah. What if Phalanx is not a Amalgadon?
Then its reason for existence is no longer there, right? It's there to be Menagerie Enabler. They want it to be a Menagerie Enabler.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah,
it's if it was an easy thing, they probably would have done it, right? But I looked at this myself and I was like, yeah, this is kind of annoying. Like, ideally, you remove this and you make a new Menagerie Enabler. But again, that's just like, just make a new card for head. Right? It's, yeah. That's okay for later, but that's not something they can just right now. Oh, yeah, that tier 6 Menagerie replacement card. Yeah, we'll just take that off the shelf. Like, it's been waiting here. We can put it in now.
What if it's not a death rattle? How would you solve that?
What if it's not a death rattle?
Yeah, not a death rattle.
Then it's a very different card.
I know.
I'd say that's for maybe a different podcast because my brain is.
I agree. I hear you.
I'm not in that problem-solving mode.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's go to Lantern Light. So we've kind of moved on from all the minions. So now
we're at the spells now.
Yeah. So Lantern Light is going from 2 gold to 1 gold. So sucked apparently. That's my takeaway. Fair enough. I'm down for it. I don't have issues too much. What do you think?
This is really good, I would say. So I was already buying Lantern Light from time to time on 2 gold. So I find myself buying a decent amount of Lantern Lights on 1 gold.
Like going from 2 gold to 1 is a huge buff, right?
It's a huge buff.
But it feels like 2 gold people weren't buying it. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here being like, well, Lantern Light is OP. You were buying it
like because it had perfect mana for you.
Yes, exactly.
Not because like it was good. Now with 1 gold, you're buying it because it's good. That should be the difference, right?
Yeah. I buy this routinely like on a tier 4 turn or so, or tier 3.
Yeah,
like
that makes
mana
sense.
fix and +3/+3/+4/+4.
Staff of Enrichment's getting a nerf, which
this is sense. Not in the game right now due to a bug. So
okay,
but yeah,
makes sense.
This went from 2/2 to 1/2. It's too strong.
Yeah. Fleeting Vigor going from tier 3 to tier 4, but it's giving instead of +5/+5, it's giving +6/+6. So probably too strong on tier 3, I guess, right? 1 gold +5/+5 is really good.
Too annoying, probably, where people got it and then lost around, and it was just frustrating to face. Now compare this to Lantern Light and tell me why this is still in the game. I can get 6/6 temporarily or 4/4 permanently at minimum, right? But for tier 5, for tier 6, it's even worse. So that's my point, right? If you're gonna make Lantern Light this good, then why is Figure in the game? It's just like,
what would you do? Make it How would you
kick out?
kick it? Okay,
Yeah, just kick.
that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
I don't like this effect anyway. It's frustrating if you fight someone that bought vigor because they're just temporarily stronger against you, and it sucks to buy it yourself because you know you're just strong for 1 round.
You don't buy this card, do you?
If I can avoid. If I'm in desperate situations, I'll put it on a Myrmidon.
You don't buy this card. Okay, I hear you.
Okay, so recently I've put it on a Myrmidon and it saved me because that's twice the stats, but still, if I can at all avoid it, yes, I'm not buying this.
Okay. Echoing Roar going from 2 gold to 3 gold, which makes sense. This card felt really good at 2 gold, so
It's so good.
Yeah. So not surprised to see it at 3, honestly.
Yep.
Armor stash is still in the game. Wow.
Yep.
Why?
Costs 3 gold now though. Do you still buy it anytime you don't have 5 armor?
Yes, of course you do.
Sure do. All right, moving on.
All right. Buddy Up is now going from 3 gold to 4 gold. And additionally, Piloted Warlotron has been removed. Which one was that?
That's the Sneed Buddy that copies
Sneed
all the
Buddy,
death
right?
rattles.
Yeah, Sneed Buddy, yeah.
That just routinely was disgusting on boards. So.
Yeah, I mean, Buddy Up for 3 gold didn't make sense because you'd always get it because the Buddy's better than most minions. So.
Yep.
4 golds. Now you have to think, but a lot of times it's still pretty good.
This is a great nerf. I absolutely have shops where I'm like, I'm gonna pass it.
Yeah.
Which is saying a lot. Where a high level
never passed it.
Exactly, a high level player being like, I don't want to discover a buddy here. You have to be like, oh, okay. There's actually, and it's expensive, and especially if you're on like 5 gold. That's a turn ender, right? You spend 4 of the 5 gold left on Buddy Up. You're like, I'm probably not spending this last gold productively. So there's absolutely moments where you're just like, I gotta skip it, but I still buy it, of course, because it's buddies.
Sacred Gift is moved up from 5 to 6 gold. This card is too good.
Yep.
6 gold, and you're still like, and I like the fact that it's 6 gold. And you can get tavern spells for free. Like, oh my god, I'm so like, discover a tavern tier down. Like, I'm still like, you can't get this for free. Like, I don't like that you can get this for free. Is my issue. I'm still down with. Do you remember what I talked about last time?
I still think that's not a good solution, just because it's well, it introduces weird rules, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to have exceptions and this and that. They want the game to be simple.
It's not an exception. It's straight.
No, you're saying that generation, right? But only for spells, right? You would have to do that for everything, right? Like death rattles that you generate.
You can't do that for everything.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So they don't want to turn into Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, where there's just like a whole rule book and you have to look it up. Be like. Because, I mean, spells would then be one thing.
But you have these problematic. I feel like you can really balance spells with that introduction. Now you're just kind of sitting here with like, this is so broken. I got 2 Sacred Gifts this turn for free.
Yes. My most common price for Sacred Gift is 0 gold.
Yeah, I know. And
most of my Sacred Gifts are generated.
That's not balanced. That's like...
It's so fun, Collins. It's so fun, dude. Wee! Divine Shield on my minion for free. Wee!
These tavern spells abusers, they don't want to give it up.
No. Once you taste the power of Sacred Gift for 0 gold, you don't want to give it up, Collins. Come on now.
But it just makes this change so pointless. Like, what?
I know.
Who cares? This could be 10 gold. It doesn't matter.
You still, I mean, I bought it a lot of 5 gold for sure. It's because I was playing with a lot of money that I made from my spell generation.
Because your mechanic was broken.
I guess I'll spend 6 of my 25 gold on the shield. That's fine. Okay.
Whatever. Fine. You have your fun. I don't care anymore. Felfin Navigator has been removed from the minion pool. That's the Murloc, right?
4/4 Murloc, yeah.
Yeah, the 4/4 Murloc. Yeah, not relevant in today's economy. Colite Seer, Sword Loser, and General Dracus has been returned to minion pool. Oh, Colite Seers are tier 2 instead of tier 3.
Yep.
that was so broken back in the day
Yep.
when Seer was a tier 2.
Back in
and now
my
it's just-
day, when we just had a golden brand and buffed our board one Murloc at a time, that shit was broken. Yeah.
Yeah. The power creep is real, basically.
It is.
That's my takeaway.
The buff here is General Dracasath. That's the most important one.
Yeah,
General Dracasath. So remember when I talked about earlier, dragons are actually buffed. They're
because of that.
Yeah, so they nerfed Netherdrake, they nerfed Sandspewer, they nerfed Swamp Smuggler, and dragons are buffed in my opinion.
But those aren't late game comp.
You don't give a shit at late game, right?
Yeah,
like you don't have a Sandspewer on your board, you probably don't have a Swamp Smuggler on your board, you won't have a Netherdrake on your board, so just go Dracasath and pop off.
Yeah.
All right. That's what's
we got there.
it's a fun
we made it to the end.
Yeah. It's a fun episode.